class, my name is Mrs. Lorich. I'm going to be teaching you all about the different phases of the moon throughout this PowerPoint. The moon formation. Around 4.3 billion years ago, the Earth's moon formed. A small planet-sized object collided with the Earth. Earth's gravitational pull caused the debris to form a ring around the Earth. Over time, the rocks combined to form the moon. As you can see, that is the moon. Facts about the moon. The diameter of the moon is 3,476 kilometers, as you can see with the arrows going around the entire moon. The moon's average distance from Earth is 236,730 miles. The moon's mass is 7.35 times 10 to the 22nd, which is 181 of Earth's mass. This slide is showing you the main rotations of the moon. As you can see, we have new moon, first quarter, full moon, and third quarter, all rotating around Earth. Now let's see some of the different phases with the moon rotation. From new moon to full moon, we call this the waxing phase. From full moon to new moon is called the waning phase. In between the new moon and the first quarter, you have the waxing crescent. In between first quarter and new moon, you have the waxing gibbous. In between the full moon and third quarter, you have the waning gibbous. Lastly, in between third quarter and new moon, you have the waning crescent. This is just an image showing us the different phases of the moon. As the moon circles the Earth, the shape of the moon appears to change. This is different because different amounts are illuminated when the moon is facing us. The shape varies from a full moon, where the Earth is between the sun and the moon, to a new moon, when the moon is between the sun and the Earth. Throughout this lesson, you will be learning about all the different types of moon phases. New moon. This is the first phase of the moon. This is when it lies closest to the sun in the sky as seen from the Earth. More precisely, it is the instant when the moon and the sun have the same elliptical longitude. The moon is not normally visible at this time except when it is seen in a silhouette during a solar eclipse. The next phase is the waxing crescent moon. A small part, less than 1/2 of the moon, is lit up at this point. The part that is lit up is slowly getting bigger. As the moon moves eastward, away from the sun in the sky, we see a bit more of the sunlit side of the moon each night. A few days after new moon, we see a thin crescent in the western evening sky. The crescent moon waxes or appears to grow fatter each night. When you see the moon as a slim crescent, it's the waxing moon. Is that Earth's shadow on the moon? No, it's the moon's own shadow. First quarter moon. When half of the moon's disk is illuminated, we call it the first quarter moon. This shows half of its lighted hemisphere. A first quarter moon rises at noon and is high overhead at sunset. It sets around midnight. We officially call this moon a quarter and not a half because it is 1/4 of the way around in its orbit of Earth as measured from one new moon to the next. This moon appears half lit to us as half moon is a beloved name, although not an official one. The next phase is the waxing gibbous moon. At this time, half of the moon is lit up. The part that is lit is slowly getting bigger. Waxy means to slowly get bigger. A waxing gibbous moon appears high in the east at sunset. It's more than half lit, but less than full. This moon phase comes between 1 and 2 weeks after new moon. Full moon. The entire moon is lit up at this point. You know it when you see it, but what makes a full moon full? At full moon, the moon and sun are on line with Earth in between. It's as though Earth is the fulcrum of a seesaw and the moon and sun are sitting on either end of the seesaw. So as the sun sets in the west, the full moon rises. When the sun is below our feet at midnight, the full moon is highest in the sky. When the sun rises again at dawn, the full moon is setting. If there is a lunar eclipse, it must happen at full moon. It's only at the full moon phase that Earth's shadow, extending opposite the sun, can fall on the moon's face. Waning gibbous. The moon is not quite lit up all the way by sunlight. The part of the moon that is lit is slowly getting smaller. Waning means to slowly get smaller. In the few days after the full moon, you'll often see a waning gibbous moon in the west in early morning, floating against the pale blue sky. A waning gibbous moon sails over the eastern horizon in the hours between sunset and midnight. What can I say about a waning gibbous moon? Only that it can surprise you if you happen to be out late in the evening. It rises eerily some hours after sunset, glowing red like a full moon when it's near the horizon. Sometimes it looks like a misshapen clone of a full moon. Because it comes up late at night, the waning gibbous moon prompts people to start asking, "Where's the moon? I looked for it last night and couldn't find it." Third or last quarter moon. A last quarter moon looks half illuminated. The part that we can see lit up is slowly getting smaller. It rises around midnight, appears at its highest in the sky at dawn, and sets around noon. Last quarter moon comes about 3 weeks after new moon. Now, as seen from above, the moon in its orbit around Earth is at right angles to a line between the Earth and sun. The moon is now 3/4 of the way around in its orbit of Earth, as measured from one new moon to the next. Waning crescent moon. A small part of the moon is lit up at this point. It is getting smaller by the minute. A waning crescent moon is sometimes called an old moon. It's seen in the east before dawn. The moon appears closer to the sunrise glare. Most people won't see this moon phase unless they get up early. Because the moon is nearly on a line with the Earth and sun again, the day hemisphere of the moon is facing mostly away from us once more. We see only a slender fraction of the moon's day side, a crescent moon. Still, the waning crescent is up there nearly all day long, moving ahead of the sun across the sky's dome. It sets in the west several hours or less before sunset. The final thoughts on rotation of the moon. The moon orbits Earth at an average distance of 382,400 kilometers. The lunar month is 29.53 days it takes to go from one new moon to the next. Just like the Earth, half of the moon is lit by the sun, while the other half is darkness. The phases we see result the angle the moon makes with the sun as viewed from the Earth. Some fun fact. Did you know that a full moon can happen twice in 1 month? When this happens, the second full moon of the month is called a blue moon. Here are your references on our presentation. I hope you guys really enjoyed the presentation and learned a lot about all the different phases of the moon.